SA is doing well. We know it is doing well. But how long is it going to continue to do well for? I don't know. In fact, I was watching a presentation by the founder of Airbnb the other day, and sort of his views on things could lead you to question how good SA is going to be over the next few years.
I believe we're heading into one of the most volatile times in property history, and it's time for you to exchange your time and your education for wealth. Hi there, all, Sebring here. I'm with Paul. He's kindly accepted my invitation and come and join me on the podcast. He's full of experience, full of knowledge, and we're going to have a great interview split into 2 parts, so please go check out part 2 after this one. Thanks for coming, Paul.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Do you want to give a little introduction about yourself?
Sure.
How long you've been in property?
Yeah, so my name's Paul Livingstone. I first started investing in 2007, although I was just finding my feet. Kind of took it a little bit seriously and started to get some training in 2019, which is where I kind of learned that there were different strategies you can take.
Nice.
I've done many things, which I'm sure we'll go to in a minute. My actual job, however, is I'm in the army. I've been in the army for 20 years, so I deal with being in and out of country and being quite busy on the side. Originally, I'm from Somerset. However, I've been in Chepstow since 2013.
Nice.
So I very much see sort of South Wales as my home now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I live in Chepstow as well. So we're both very close, which is nice and easy to talk and communicate.
Yep.
I'm going to start off with some quick free fire questions, if that's okay.
Fire away.
The first one it's quite a big one.
Yeah.
Try to keep them brief if you can.
Okay.
What's wrong with the economy right now?
Nothing. It's history repeating itself.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion, and I guess that it's a very naive way to put it. For me, from a property developer or a property investor's opinion, there's nothing wrong with it. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. It's the fact that you've just got to adapt it. And the way I look at it is it's like the ocean. The ocean's got waves, and your boat is your strategy. You've just got to change your boat to suit the waves.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, I haven't heard that before. It's actually probably the most valid point of just adaptation.
Yep.
Who cares really what the economy's doing?
Exactly.
Just adapt your strategy to what suits.
Yeah. And if you look, we're only a couple of years post-COVID, and what everybody was doing throughout COVID, everyone was absolutely afraid of the economy, the market, property in general throughout COVID. And actually, COVID was really good for property, I think, on the back end of it.
Well, it drove property through the roof.
Exactly,
didn't it? Did it do the complete opposite to what you thought? Because inflation was high, they were printing a lot of money, driving asset prices up.
It done the complete opposite in terms of the fear factor that people were putting out there from COVID. It wasn't there. I didn't really see much of it at all. So from that respect, yes. But from the fact of history repeating itself kind of thing, it was just another up-down kind of motion in the market. Yeah.
Nice. What makes someone successful? Trait.
One word for me. The key word, although there's many, the key word is persistence.
Okay.
You've got to keep going because there are so many ups and downs. You hit plateaus constantly. You need to be able to take the rough and continue going. You need to be able to take failure and understand that the river bends. You've got to take the rough with the smooth and keep going to be successful.
Nice. I like that.
What about you? What do you think makes a successful person?
Consistency is huge. I think mindset in consistency is massive. Like you say, taking those failures and carrying on, going out your comfort zone. I think you just gotta learn everything. You almost Andrew Tate said something quite interesting on Rob Moore's podcast, which was every day he wants the day to be the hardest day ever. So that he knows that he's overcome it and he's going to nothing's ever going to be as bad as that day. So it's like property's quite a big feat. There's, it can go, there's big swings. And it can go well and it can go seriously bad. But if you do property, something as small as going to a party with social anxiety isn't as big of a thing anymore. Because you've done the bigger thing. So if you do the biggest thing possible, nothing's going to compare and everything will be as easy. So that's how I see it.
Absolutely.
So try and do the hardest thing you can do, get out your comfort zone, and everything else will be easier. Do you know?
Have you heard of the book Eat That Frog? Oh,
is that good?
It is good.
Let's jump into that.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
What's your favourite book? What do you recommend?
Not Eat That Frog, which is a really good one. My favourite book is Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, from a sort of personal self-development perspective. It's hands down the best book, but it's more like a program than a book, because it's all about. I'm really big into meditation, and it's all about getting into a meditation process. And if you follow it, it's a life-changing book. Like you say, nothing affects you. So people say to me, how do you stay so calm throughout these situations, whatever it is? And it's because of that. It's as simple as that. But from a productivity perspective, I really like Eat That Frog because it's simple.
Yeah. No, I like that. So those are the 3 quick-fire questions. Anything you want to add? No, that's all right. So let's jump into a little bit about property.
Yes, let's do it.
So you've done quite a few different strategies. Like you said, you started training in 2019.
Yeah.
What are some of those strategies that you've taken on?
So I've done BRRs. I've done holiday lets. I've done flips. I've done quite a lot of sort of just renovate it, buy a house, live in it, renovate it,
nice.
Sell it off, that kind of thing. I've recently gone into rent to serviced accommodation just as a little bit of a side project, and that for me was more about it's a very quick way to dip into an area and test the market without having to fully commit. So the most recent one I took on was in Cardiff, and that's because I've got an interest in Cardiff, and instead of just buying there or spending too much time researching a market that constantly changes anyway, hey, take on a
that's a good idea.
Accommodation.
That's a good idea. You are like, no obligation, no purchasing process, nothing. Essentially renting out an accommodation, all your expenses, the rent of the period you've got, the contract, whatever, potentially. I don't know.
It's not quite as glamorous as everyone thinks. I don't think. And yeah, we could talk about that separately if you wanted it.
Absolutely.
But there is a lot more than you would initially think based on looking at some videos online or something that goes into it. And to do well from it, you do have to be quite well invested.
Okay. Do you reckon? So were you thinking of buying in Cardiff before and then wanted to test the market with the rent to SA?
Yes.
Because I like rent to SA, but I'm not. It doesn't make me. There's no fire for me, for myself. With that strategy, I'm a little bit like I rather sort of focus on some other areas in property, but I can see sort of the appeal there for sure, and I like the perspective of testing the market. I think that's brilliant.
For me, it's not just. So I've got a project that I want to. It's kind of a separate business that I want to look at going into in the future. I won't go into it now, but it's based on a similar principle, and what I want to try and achieve out of it is allowing people to go into property development without having to have a large upfront investment.
Nice.
And for me to be able to understand rent to serviced accommodation a little bit more, it will allow me to work out whether I can make it work, essentially. So it's about testing the area, but testing the strategy, the theory as well.
Yeah. Nice. So have you done your own sort of purchase your own property, renovate it and sell it on?
Yes. Been covered in dust.
It's a great way for like people just to sort of climb the ladder and increase value in their property, isn't it?
And my brother's gone from zero to hero doing the exact same. He swears by it. He loves it, and he lives in an amazing house now, which has gone from being a tiny little house built all the way up to being in a really nice house. His sort of goal is to live the typical English person's dream, I think, of being completely mortgage free in a perfect house and having your pension coming in. So that's what he's trying to achieve. For me, it's not about that. But I'm a little bit more about the now, enjoying the now.
For sure. Is there an element of like, when you do that, because you'll buy a house, you'll refurb it yourself, and then you add the value and you sell it on. You're always on a building site.
I don't do that now.
No.
So I won't. I love doing jobs myself. So I've recently done a van conversion.
Nice.
Which I love. And strangely enough, the money it cost me to do it, I could have probably paid someone to do it. But for me, it's about doing things yourself, and I enjoy that. But from a property perspective, I think it can be counterproductive. My personal opinion is it can be counterproductive to do it yourself, especially when I've got a full-time career. And if you look at a lot of the time, I'll put something on a bridging product or something similar. The time that it would take me to do it would be so much longer than it would if somebody come in and done it for me. So personally,
it's all about leverage, isn't it? Really,
yeah. I like to be involved. I like to kind of have the screwdriver in there, making sure it goes right. I enjoy managing projects anyway. I've managed sort of all kinds of overseas projects, like all types of different things, all over the world. I enjoy that kind of thing. But in terms of doing the work myself, it's not that I'm afraid to get my hands dirty. It's that I don't think it's the best way to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's all about return on time invested.
Yep.
Could your time be better spent elsewhere?
Yep.
Instead of building?
Yep.
Which essentially you get the professionals in.
Yep.
For me, I've been a builder, but I was never good at the touch element that the builders can do. So
exactly.
Yeah. So
and if I'm going
take...
on holiday, I'm not flying the penny myself.
No, exactly.
I'm getting the professionals.
And you want to relax,
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
What is so we touched on sort of the boat change of strategy to the market. What is working right now in terms of the market? Because interest rates are high.
Yeah.
People are on about sort of cash flow making it work today. Single lets aren't essentially working as much as they used to be.
No, and I guess it's what you're doing with it, because if I don't think your typical buy-to-lets are doing anywhere near as good as what they used to. But if you're making £200 on a property and you're able to turn 10 of those around a year, is it going to be beneficial?
Yeah.
It depends. I think it depends what you want, because of the equity you're getting out of the property itself as well. Because small vanilla type buy-to-let properties in the right location are still going up massively in value, and they will do,
absolutely.
regardless of what anyone says. Keep it for 10 years, and you're going to make a lot of money.
Exactly.
Clearly, they're not the best, and they're nowhere near what they used to be. For me, SA is doing well. We know it is doing well. But how long is it going to continue to do well for? I don't know. In fact, I was watching a presentation by the founder of Airbnb the other day, and sort of his views on things could lead you to question how good SA is going to be over the next few years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think flips is always going to be good. There's always going to be money in property. Doing flips is always going to be good.
There's always going to be a buyer there.
Yeah.
Do you reckon at the minute, sort of the end figure, the GDV sort of is lowered a bit just to have that little bit of a margin?
So I don't necessarily think and I could be wrong. I don't necessarily think it's the problem with the GDV. It's the resale ability.
Yeah.
So you're putting properties on the market now, and they're staying there for months, years.
Absolutely.
And you need to be prepared to make a decision when you're paying money to keep that property on the market. Do you lower the amount you sell it for, or do you keep it? Essentially. So I've got one that I'm just about to complete on coming up, and I know the fact that it probably wouldn't sell for the GDV. But I'm not concerned about that because I intend to keep it anyway. So as long as it's coming in at the GDV,
you can
and it's getting
refinance.
valued at that, it doesn't really make a difference to me. So it comes back to what we said. Your strategy is your boat, and as long as you're able to make your strategy work with the current market, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what I got from that was sort of essays working.
Yep.
Flips are always good.
Yep.
Buy-to-let's a bit difficult, but as long as you can sort of make... I lost a little bit at the end about the sort of the end value.
Yeah.
But as long as you can make it work sort of pull your money out,
Yeah.
or go to the market, like you say. If you want to sell quicker, you can drop it a bit. If you can hold it for a while, you can keep it at the value that you want to sell it.
Exactly, and I guess that kind of goes against what I said with the flips. But as long as you're factoring in what the resale value is within the location into your numbers, you can make the flip work. There's still money to be made in the flips.
I agree.
Personally, though, if I was going to look to hammer down on a strategy now, it would be being creative and going for option agreements, purchase lease
options and stuff like that.
Yeah,
no money down, sort of. Well, no money down, but there's always some money in it. Do you think?
Yeah. Well, so I've got a deal that I'm working on at the moment, which will be me taking on the properties, but I'm making money from the properties while I'm taking them on anyway.
Yeah.
I've had a project that I've held for a while on an option agreement. And it's cost me a small amount every month, but I factored that in anyway, and it's not really having a massive effect on me. But overall, once the planning's already gone through, so I've got the planning on it now. Overall, the deal is well worth the money that it's costing me to keep it.
Okay, so is that a lease option?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How? Because I think there's not a lot of sort of marketing about lease options. You don't really know unless you're in property, is it?
No.
Is it? You're not. No one knows that's not in property what a lease option really is.
No, exactly.
And I feel like it's starting to come about a little bit, but maybe a couple of years ago it was very sort of quiet. How old is that? Oh
wow! So I've only known about them for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And for me, the big thing is about how you approach the seller. So I will always go to a seller to try and help them. I would much rather go with an offer and walk away making them feel happy and me lost the offer, and this probably doesn't make someone successful in property, than me having absolutely screwed them over with a deal that I don't feel good about, that inside I don't feel good about, and makes them feel bad. Because at the end of the day, you might have an agreement, but I don't think that agreement would stand up in court.
No.
Realistically.
No.
So I think it's all about doing the good thing, being the good person, being the good guy or the good girl, and doing the right thing. So I always go to people with, hey, look, I've got this offer for you. What do you think?
Yeah.
And see how it goes. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You lost nothing because you had it. You didn't have it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the end of the... It's better to... That we also agree, because we put offers into our vendors that we're essentially sourcing on. To go to them, and then if we go, we'll give you 100 grand, but we can't sell it. Yeah. That's much more of a letdown than not having the offer accepted in the first place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely, like, I could offer them 100,000. Let's just say I'm going off some random numbers. I realise, but I could offer them what they're looking for. But if I can't sell it on, they're let down. Yeah. But if I offer them 80 and they say no, then there's no harm, is there?
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah. And you can deliver the
exactly what they're looking for.
And what I've found time and time again is it's not so much the deal you're in at the moment, it's what that's going to lead to in the future. And you go to someone as a deal sourcer and you sell a product for them, you sell their property for them, they recommend you to someone.
Absolutely.
And it's a snowball effect, because every time they recommend you to someone, that person recommends you to someone else. And eventually you're just getting them in. And that's what I put out a post a while ago just to a closed group, to friends, because I don't really like going and asking for investments, particularly because it's not something I've ever really needed to do before. But I put out a post and I said, like, look, I can help people here because I've got that many properties coming to me that I know will stack up.
Yeah.
All you need to do is put the money into it and listen to what I'm saying, and you could do well from property.
Yeah.
Because eventually, when you've been in the game for a while, or when
you do come across deals that
and people come to you.
Essentially, you don't want all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's the good thing about a sourcer is what they do say, which is true, is that once you go into the game because you want to make money, but you want to offer a great service as well, but you know, both go hand in hand. But eventually you take those skills and you just apply it to your own game.
Yeah.
Which you know how to deal with vendors, you know how to deal with investors, and you know how to negotiate and secure and go through the legals and all this stuff that essentially, if you just were an investor, it would take years to find out because you'd have to do it all on your own.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Out of your own book. Yeah. So there is an element of that in it. But like yourself, sort of unofficial sources, because you got all these leads coming to yourself, you got all your friends. Yeah. You're technically sourcing, but you've got the rapport built because they're your friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And the leads you've built up over a good sense of communication.
Exactly that.
Yeah, nice. Nice. So we just touched on. Sorry, I went into a bit of interview mode there. You know, that's all the script in the head.
Interrogation.
Yeah. How do you find your deals?
Wow.
Yeah.
So at the if you were to look at what I've got at the moment, I've got two things going through from deal sources.
Okay.
I've got one through family. I've got two that have come through a tenant off the back of a deal sourcer.
Wow.
So I don't think I really actively go looking for deals anymore.
They just come to you.
It's not necessarily that. We're all connected, aren't we? Everybody's connected. Social media is such a big thing. Just general chit chat. If I hear about something and I think, God, that looks good, or I see something and I think that looks good, then I might inquire about it. I might dig into it. I probably don't have anything to do with 90% of stuff that comes my way, and I do, a lot of the time I find it quite bad. People say to me, "Oh, you're so hard to get hold of." but with work as well, I've got so much kind of like messaging and phone calls. I feel bad for not replying and responding so much, but a lot of stuff will kind of be through it coming to me from one way or the other, and not me actively looking for it. I used to when I first done property training and realised, you know what, I want to start doing multiple properties at one time. I was constantly on things like Rightmove. I can't remember, other than to compare for comparables. I can't remember the last time I was on Rightmove looking for a property.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point to touch on briefly. How effective agents and sort of Rightmove is for actually finding your deals.
Oh, so agents. Let's look at agents first of all. I think that they can be your best friend, and I think I went into. So I can remember doing a property course. And when you think back, it's crazy how things change. It is mad. So I done a property course and I came away and I was going into estate agents, and I would never do it now. I was saying, hey, look, this is who I am. How you doing? And I've always been quite a chatty person. I can go and have a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, look, I'm looking for below market value deals. And I can remember I went into one, and they said, yeah, so's everyone. Let me know if you've got any. And I was like, what have I done wrong here?
Yeah.
And I can remember thinking it goes back to persistence. This ain't working for me.
Yeah.
And the reality is, everybody's looking for a below market value deal. And what is a below market value deal?
Yes.
I look, when I now see a property coming across as below market value, I will very much question it. Because I'll rephrase that. If I'm looking at an all money out deal, which is what everybody tries to achieve, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a unicorn, isn't it? Yeah. I think below market value is a very wide concept, you know, because I think it is a massive question of why is BMV, because if it's sold at that market value, it's now that market value. So, do you know, I think it's going off the comparables in the area, but I want to make this point sort of, property is a long-term game. You buy a house now and you'll be all right in 20 years. If you can make it work now, you'll be fine. So getting a sort of a discount on the market is just a head start to an already approved system.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. I spent a lot of time, and again, this is what if you look at what a lot of people teach on courses or a lot of what people are talking about. I spent a lot of time with a lot of money sat in my bank waiting to find the perfect all money out
yeah.
deal. And actually, I said this to some friends not long back. The amount of money I wasted with that money sat in the bank looking for this perfect deal, that could have been a property generating, like, genuinely money wasted.
Yeah.
It could have been a property making me money. So I then got to the point where I thought, you know what? As long as I know the numbers and I'm willing to leave some money in a deal, which I am always willing to leave some money in the right deal.
Yeah.
Then stop worrying about waiting for the right deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just to go back, because I guess people listening to this might sort of have something to say about the. I'm not saying there aren't below market value deals, because there are.
There are, yeah.
But it's not the only thing. If you can look at a nice house that could have the title split, and you buy it for 10 grand over market value, and you make money on it,
yeah, of course,
it's probably a better deal than it would be.
It would absolutely. Yeah. There's multiple options there, isn't there? And property is such a vast thing.
Yeah.
There's so many little niches in every sector.
Absolutely, yeah.
That you could focus on one your entire life, and you probably, there'll always be something else there.
Sure.
Because there's like rent to rent, SA, buy, refurb, refinance, HMOs, title splits, lease options, land development, new developments, flats. You could just go on.
Yeah.
And then there's always ways to make money, isn't there?
Absolutely, 100%, and there always will be.
Yeah, and because of property and its long-term value, I'd just like to say, like you say, don't wait. Do your due diligence. Make sure your research is fine. If you can make it work, you'll be fine in the long term.
Yeah. Don't wait, but don't rush.
Yeah. That's it. So in the market cycle, sort of, essentially, what is it? Like a 10-year cycle that it sort of booms, grows. Are we not at the top now? Is there not a big dip? Because there's a lot going on with the currencies in the world. Our financial currencies is messed up, right?
Yeah.
And they're printing money to stop. Recessions are natural because it clears the debris. Yeah. It gets rid of all the businesses that aren't working. It needs to recycle like a forest fire. And what's happening is they're printing money every time there's a crisis, which is stopping a recession, which essentially is they've got control. Like, as long as they can print money, they'll never let it go because they can't, because debt's too high now. Do you reckon there is a cycle now? Because it's gone on since the gold standard in 1970s. They didn't do anything in 2008, although delayed the real issue, which is the fiat currency. I'm probably going on a big stem here. But if there's a cycle every 10 years, where's the cycle this time? Because I feel like they're just controlling it now.
I'm not going to be able to answer your question properly here. My answer is, I don't care.
Yeah.
I genuinely.
Yeah.
And if you are really serious with your investment and you are living on the breadline in terms of investment, then you need to pay attention to it. I gave up listening to the news. I gave up sort of paying too much attention to what's going on, genuinely, because I would try and read everything. I don't care. If I'm interested in property, I'll go to a broker that I trust, and I will get him to tell me about the current rates and whether it works or not.
Yeah.
I know what is going to work and what's not going to work.
Yeah.
I will tell you. I will tell you this now. Buy a house today. in a fairly decent area.
Yeah.
And don't make money on it in 20 years.
And you'll still be all right.
And I'll pay you the money for the house. If you stay in property long enough, regardless of the cycle, whatever. I think people look into it too much. I think people get too wrapped around the cycle, where we are, where we're not, where it's going, where it's not, and they forget about the fact that this isn't the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
This has been like if you look at the Industrial Revolution, that wasn't the start of it. This has been going on forever.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to go on. Be adaptive. Don't worry too much about it. Yeah,
I agree.
And a lot of my friends come up to me and they'll say, "Look, I've got my residential mortgage up for renewal. Like, what should I be doing? What's the rate? What's this? What's happening? Is the market going to crash? I'm thinking about selling," and it might crash, but it's going to go back up again. So my point is, from an investor's perspective or
Yeah.
a developer's perspective, for me, for you, it's an opportunity. And what we know is that property is going to sit on the market for a long time
Yeah.
and not get what people want because of, if you look at where it was last year, what property was selling for last year, it was selling well above market value.
Yeah.
Property was going on at a listed price and selling well above it.
I know, it's crazy.
And it's not going to happen now. So people are going to put their property on the market thinking it's going to sell for X amount. It's not, and it's going to sit there.
Yeah.
And they're going to get to a point where people like me and you can help them.
Yeah.
We can help them.
Absolutely.
By showing them an exit strategy.
Yeah.
From what they want.
Absolutely. There is a great opportunity for people who are already in property to get some good deals and to help them offload their assets.
Absolutely.
Because they need to, essentially.
Yeah.
Because properties are liquid, you know. But we can make that happen.
Yep.
But great opportunity. Really quickly, what's a good deal for you? Because obviously an all money out deal is the unicorn. Would you be happy with 5k, 10k left in?
Absolutely. So I'm completing on a vanilla buy to let at the moment, and I think it will probably have in excess of 10k in. I don't even know, to be honest, because I'm not really too concerned.
Yeah.
It will have quite a lot of money still in it, but would I take that deal on if I had loads of time? Absolutely not. But it's another deal to add to the portfolio.
Absolutely.
In a location that I want it to be.
Yeah. And if you think at the end of it, essentially you've got a property for 15k.
Yep. And when you look at it like this, so people avoid, what often gets me is people avoid leaving money in, and they won't get into a deal because they leave money in. But people are quick to get into rent to serviced accommodation. My last rent serviced accommodation, I put 10k into it before I took it, and I've only got that for 5 years. Now at the end of it, I walk away with whatever I've made, and it will make money, but I haven't built up the equity in the property.
Of course, over a long period.
But I'm happy to do that, and people are happy to do that.
Yeah.
So I would say don't worry too much about leaving money in, as long as the property works for you. I would much rather have money left in a property than money left in my bank.
Yeah. And if you think sort of averagely 8% is a good yield, property is like far beyond that on average, like per year on return on investment.
Absolutely.
Sort of, you know. Brilliant. Thanks. We're going to end this part one now. If you'd like to head over to part two, that'll be released in a couple of days. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.